Good afternoon all. I am Mrs. Sujata Bhamre. Welcomes you all in the workshop for Mathematics for PATE Aspirant Engineering stream. Hard work is the key for success, and we Maths team are here to give the path for your hard work. So in this 5-day workshop, which is basically for PATE Aspirant, those who want to clear for, so we will guide you and give you the tricks how you can attempt the questions with the correct answers and definitely with the short time. So our main focus is for clearance of this PATE exam, for which we will cover with these 5 topics. First topic starting from statistics, then probability, differential equation, higher order differential equations, and the last with matrices. So we'll try to cover maximum points based on this which are applicable for PATE aspirants. So without taking your much time, I think I hand over the session to Kute sir. Yes, Kute sir?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Let me share my screen.
So our first session will be delivered by Mr. Dinesh Kute on statistics. Hand over to you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I hope my screen is visible to you all.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so good afternoon to all of you. Myself, Dinesh Kute, working as an assistant professor in the same college, and I welcome you all in this 1-week workshop on mathematics for PhD entrance test aspirant. In first session, I will cover all the important concepts from the statistics which you need for your PATE exam. Okay, so let us just 1 minute. So let us first understand what are the importance of the statistics. Okay, so it actually simplifies the data. This is the first importance. It helps to get the concrete information about any problem. It helps for reliable and objective decision making. It presents the facts in precise and definite forms. It facilitates the comparison. Okay, so for that the statistical tools are central tendency and measure of dispersion, okay, which we try to cover in today's session. Okay, next is it facilitates the prediction. Okay, so for that generally we use the regression analysis. This is also one of the statistical tool. Okay, so that also we try to cover in today's session. These are the some importance of statistics, and using this also we can you can relate your research problem. Okay, for this statistical tools. But there are some limitations also. There are some limitations of statistics. Okay, statistics does not deal with the individual item. Okay, you need more than one item to see the analysis of the statistical tools. Statistical deals with only quantitative data. Okay, it does not study the qualitative data. That is, you can say, the drawback of the statistics. Okay, it deals with only the quantitative part. Statistical results are not universally true. Okay, these are some limitations when you consider a statistics. There are some other applications also there as far as engineering branch is concerned. So it is generally used for the improving the product design, testing the product performance, determining the reliability and maintainability, etc. There are some more applications also there. Okay, as far as the engineering branch is concerned. Okay, this is the brief information about the statistic. And now let me define the statistic. So statistic is actually a branch of mathematics, okay, that deals with the collection, analysis, interpretation, presentation and organization of data. Okay, so these many operations are going to consider, okay, in this statistics. But before applying any statistical tool, okay, we need to classify a given data. Okay, whatever data you will get directly from an experiment. Okay, before applying any statistical tool, we need to classify the data. Okay, either in the form of ungrouped frequency distribution or group frequency distribution. Okay, I will explain this to classification with one simple example. So let us consider experiment or example. Which is okay, where consider the marks of 10 students. Okay, I will take one simple example to explain this to classification. So consider the marks of 10 students out of 25. So whatever data that you get directly from an experiment, okay, that data we call it as ungrouped data. So this is the direct data that you will get from a given experiment. So consider marks of 10 students, and these are the random data out of 25. Now I have to represent this data, this same data, okay, either in the form of ungrouped frequency distribution or in the group frequency distribution. So let me explain one by one. So what is the meaning of ungrouped frequency distribution? In this representation, in one column, that is in first column, that is in the X column, we just consider the distinct observations from our given data. Just consider the distinct values, okay. And in next column, that is in the column of F, okay, we just consider the corresponding frequencies, okay. For example, first value is say 23. So this 23 is repeated 2 times. So the frequency of this 23 is 2. So in this way, we represent a data, the same data in the form of ungrouped frequency distribution, or with the help of frequency, we have to represent that data. For example, 10. So this 10 is repeated only 1 time. So the frequency of 10 is 1. 12. So this 12 is repeated 2 times. So the frequency of 12 is 2. Like this. So in one column, consider all the distinct values, and in next column, consider their frequencies. So this representation is called as ungrouped frequency distribution. And if you add all these FIs, that is summation of FI, which is in general denoted by capital N, okay. So this count is 10, okay. So in general, this capital N, or the summation of FI, gives you total number of observations. This gives you total number of observations. Okay. This is one representation. There is one more representation for this same data, which is called as group frequency distribution. So instead of considering the distinct values, here we have to consider a class interval, okay. So for example, okay, I will explain how I consider this specific class interval, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25, okay. So let me first arrange this data in ascending order. So I think the first value is 10, next is 12, then I think 12 is repeated 2 times, so 12, 12, then 15, 15 is also repeated 2 times, 15, 15, then 20, 20, correct, then 23 2 times, 25 1 time, so 23, 23 and 25. So here I just arrange this given data in ascending order, okay, and then from this range, okay, you can decide the class interval. So this data is vary from 10 to 25. So here I will consider a class interval, okay, from this 10 to 25, okay, and for this class interval, here I consider a difference of 5, okay. So here length of my class interval is 5. So divide this data, 10 to 25 data, in 3 class interval of difference 5. So first is 10 to 15, next is 15 to 20, and third is 20 to 25. So again, it is totally our choice. If you want, we can divide this data, okay, in the class interval of difference 2 also, in the class interval of difference 3 also, in the class interval of difference 5 also. It depends on us, okay. Okay, and now how we write the corresponding frequency, let me explain this. So when we consider a first interval, that is from 10 to 15, okay, so just consider the observations which are in between 10 to 15. Only thing is what, we have to exclude this last number, okay. So just delete this last number, which is 15, and consider the observations in between 10 to 15, okay, excluding this last number. So I think there is only there are the first observation is 10, next is 12, and third is 12. So total there are 3 observations in this interval. As I already told you, we have to exclude this 15. So don't consider this 15 for this first interval. So there are only 3 observations in the class interval 10 to 15. Therefore your frequency is 3. For the next interval, that is from 15 to 20. Now for this interval, okay, we will consider 15, but we have to exclude this 20. So now just count the numbers from 15 to 20 by excluding this 20. So here you will get 15, 15. So there are only 2 observations. Again, we have to exclude this 20. So don't consider its frequency, correct? So there are only 2 observations. Therefore, the number of observations in the interval 15 to 20 are 2. In a similar way, for the next interval, now since this is the last interval, 20 to 25, so we have to consider this last number also. So consider this 25 also. So including this 25, just count the number of observations between 20 to 25, and that count is 5. Okay. So here also, if you add all these frequencies, you will get the same number of observation. ठीक है. So these are the three representation of any given data or any given experiment. Okay, so this first is what, this is the direct outcomes you can say from a given experiment, or the random data, or you can also say that ungrouped data. These are the direct outcomes of any given experiment. But for statistical tools, okay, sometimes we have to convert, or we have to represent that data in the form of frequency distribution. So ungrouped frequency distribution, in this case, in one column you have to just consider the distinct values, and in next column just consider the frequencies. So this is also one of the representation. Second is what, group frequency distribution. So instead of considering these distinct values, just consider the interval. So here, since this data varies from 10 to 25, so just consider the interval which ranges from 10 to 25 of any difference. So that difference you can vary. Okay, you may consider from 10 to 12, 12 to 14, 14 to 16, like that. Okay, so these are just the representations of a given data. Okay, but what is the difference between this ungrouped frequency distribution and group frequency distribution? Okay, so if we have a large data, say around 1 lakh, 2 lakh, okay, if you have large data, in that case generally we prefer this group frequency distribution, because for that large data, if you consider the distinct values also, so still that data become large. Okay, from that large data, if you consider the distinct values, still that count is around say 50,000, 60,000. Okay, so generally for a large data we prefer this group frequency distribution, and for a small data or less data we prefer this ungrouped frequency distribution. Okay, so because of this only, for PATE exam, okay, most of the questions are there on this ungrouped frequency distribution or on this ungrouped data. Okay, we will not focus more on this group frequency distribution. Okay, as it increases the calculation. Okay, I will just explain only one formula under this case. Okay, from that also you will understand the difficulties under this group frequency distribution. Okay, so in today's session we'll focus more on this two representation only. This is just the representation. So in every question data is given either in the form of ungrouped data or in the form of ungrouped frequency distribution form. Okay, and now let us start with the first statistical tool, that is the measure of central tendency. Okay, so what is meant by measure of central tendency? Measure of central tendency is a typical value around which the other figures are aggregate. Okay, it simply means the average value. Okay, average of the given data. Okay, and there are three measures. There are total three measures of the central tendency that are common in use. One is mean, second is median, and third is mode. Again, in our session we'll focus more on this first part, that is arithmetic mean or simply mean. Okay, I will just quickly introduce this mode and median. Okay, but but most of the formulas are depend on this arithmetic mean only. Okay, now let me define. So one by one we'll discuss all these three central tendencies. So let me start with the arithmetic mean or simply average. Okay, again, so every time I will give you formula in both representation. Okay, one is ungrouped data, that is the direct outcome of a given experiment, and second is ungrouped frequency distribution. Okay, we will not focus on group frequency distribution, and that part is not is not there in your PATE exam also. So just focus on only these two representation, direct outcome and the representation of data in terms of its frequency distribution. Okay, now let us first discuss the formula of arithmetic mean for this ungrouped data. Okay, so ungrouped data means the direct outcomes of any given experiment. So consider the observations are x1, x2, x3 up to xk. So there are total k observation. So how we calculate mean? What is the formula for mean? So arithmetic mean simply denoted by x bar. So it is equal to summation of or sum of all these observations divided by total number of observations. So summation of xi upon k, that gives you the arithmetic mean of this given observation. So it's a simple formula, simply average of given data. Next, now I have to write the same formula. Okay, same formula of arithmetic mean, but for the frequency distribution. So can anyone tell me what is the formula for this case when we have given a data in terms of this frequency distribution? Remember, every question is either on ungrouped data, random observation x1, x2, xk, or in this form or in the form of frequency distribution. So accordingly you have to select your formula. So can anyone tell me what is the formula of arithmetic mean if you have given a data in terms of frequency distribution?
Can it be f1 x1 f2 x2 so on?
Correct. So it is actually summation of fi xi divided by what are the total number of observations? What are the total number of observations?
Fn, sum of all frequencies.
Fi, sum of all the frequencies. Okay. So here in this data, as we know that this x1 is repeated f1 times. So this x1 is repeated f1 times, x2 is repeated f2 times, xn is repeated fn times. So how we add all our observation? How we add all our observation? f1 x1. This cover all the x1. Okay. Plus f2 x2. This cover all the observations x2, and plus fn xn. This cover all the observation xn. Okay. So this is the sum of all observation. Okay, and whole divided by the total number of observations. Okay, so that you will get directly from a frequency. So just add all these frequencies f1 f2 f2 fn, you will get that frequency. So in general, how we write the formula of arithmetic mean in case of frequency distribution? So x bar is equal to summation of fi xi divided by summation of fi. Okay, so let me erase everything. So summation of fi xi divided by summation of fi, and this capital N is just the notation for this summation of fi. So so the first tool is what? Arithmetic mean. So I have explained that formula for ungrouped data also and for frequency distribution also. Okay, and now let me quickly explain what is meant by median and mode. Okay, so arithmetic mean is simply the average. Just add all these numbers divided by total number of observation, you will get that mean. Correct. What is meant by median? Okay, so for median, first of all, we have to arrange a given data in ascending order and then just calculate the middle value. Okay, so that middle value is actually gives you the median. Okay, but this formula is vary depend on the number of observation. So if we have odd number of observation, then you can easily find the middle value. Here you can see total there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here total there are 7 observation. So you will easily get the middle value. So that middle value is 3. So 3 become the median of this given data. Okay, but when we have even number of observation, okay, so in case of even number of observations, there are 2 middle values. Okay, so here you can see 3 and 4. These are the 2 middle values for this given data. Okay, so just take the average of these 2 values, that become the median. Okay, so these are the 2 formulas for median. But remember, to calculate median, first of all, we need to arrange that data in ascending order, and after that only we can apply this result. Just identify the middle value. If it is odd, you will directly get that middle value. If it is even, just identify 2 middle values and take its average. This is the simple formula for median. Now what is mode? In case of mode also, first of all, we have to arrange a given data in ascending order, and after that okay, so no need to do this also. Okay, you can directly identify the highest frequency of highest frequency of given value. Okay, for example, here you can see the frequency of 1 is 1, it is repeated only one time. Frequency of 2 is 2, frequency of 3 is 1, frequency of 4 is also 1, frequency of 7 is also 1, it is repeated only one time, and frequency of 9 is also 1. So the highest frequency value is 2. So 2 has the highest frequency, therefore mode of this given data is 2. So it is a value. Mode is what? It is a value which has the highest frequency in compare with the other values. Okay, so from the distribution table also you will directly get mode of that given data. Correct. So this is all about the arithmetic mean, median and mode, and these 3 values actually gives you the central tendency. Okay, that is a value or the average value of a given data. So this is the first statistical tool. Let me explain this both definition with one simple example. So find mean, as I already told you, we have to focus more on the arithmetic mean, as the next formulas are totally dependent on this mean. So find mean of the following data. So here I have considered a first example which is in the form of ungrouped data. So this is the random observation, and the second example you can see here the data is represented in the form of frequency distribution. We have given the observations also and its corresponding frequency. So how we calculate the arithmetic mean for first case? So that formula is trivial. Just add all these numbers just add all these number divided by total number of observation, that gives you the mean. So mean for this first data, arithmetic mean for this first data is 496. Next is the arithmetic mean for this frequency distribution. Okay, so how we actually calculate mean for the frequency distribution? So our formula is like this: summation of fi xi divided by summation of fi. So just do this product, 32 into 4 plus 33 into 10. As this 32 is repeated 4 times, so we have to add this 32 4 times. That is nothing but 32 into 4. Okay. So you will easily understand this formula if you split this data in the form of ungrouped data. Okay. Next, 33 is repeated 10 times. So we add this 33. Just consider 33 into 10. Okay. Similarly, 34 into 13, 35 into 8, 36 into 5, and divided by total number of total number of frequencies, that is 4 plus 10 plus 13 plus 8 plus 5. Just do this calculation, you will get the arithmetic mean to be 34. So in this way we can find the arithmetic mean for ungrouped data also and for frequency distribution also. Okay, this part is very important for the next few topics. Okay, and here I just consider the arithmetic mean. Okay, only one formula here I consider for this group frequency distribution, but I will not take any example on this part. Okay, so from this PDF also you can directly refer this formula, or you can find the arithmetic mean. So formula is like this: capital A plus H into summation of fi ui upon summation of fi. What is this ui? So this ui is actually xi minus a upon h. What is this a? A is any middle value of xi. What is this xi? Xi is actually mid values of this interval. Okay, so in this case, first of all, you have to consider this column xi. What is this xi? These xi's are actually the mid value of this interval. So just consider a1 plus a2 by 2, you will get the middle value of this interval. Just consider a2 plus a3 by 2, you will get the middle value of this interval. So in a similar way, if you perform all this calculation, you will get the column of xi. Now in this column, just identify a middle value, random. Okay, so it is not necessary you have to identify correct middle value. You may consider the first value also. Okay, so this a is totally random. Just to avoid the calculation, it's always better to select that value from middle. Okay, that saves your calculation. So so consider any value from this column, that become your a. Any value can take. Okay, so but just to avoid the calculation, it's better to select the middle value of this xi column, that become your a. H is what? Length of this interval. Okay, and using this you can easily calculate the arithmetic mean for group frequency distribution. Okay, but for this we need it actually include more calculation. So as far as PET exam is concerned, most of the questions are there on your frequency distribution form and ungrouped data. Okay. So that is all about the first statistical tool. Okay, central tendency. In that we have covered the 3 topics. One is mean for ungrouped data and mean for frequency distribution. Second is mode, that is the most repeated value you can say. And then third is median. Median is simply the middle value of a given data. Okay. Now the next statistical tool is dispersion. Okay. So what I mean by dispersion? So dispersion of a given data, or using dispersion, actually you will get the information about how much data is actually scattered from a given from its mean value. So from dispersion you will get the information about how much data is actually scattered from its mean value, or simply the scatteredness or the variability you can calculate using this topic. Okay. So dispersion gives you the scatteredness present in a given data, and for this we have so to calculate this dispersion in our syllabus we have 2 methods. One is standard deviation and second is coefficient of variation. Okay, so remember, standard deviation always gives you the dispersion present or the scatteredness present in the given data, and later on I will explain why we need this coefficient of variation, or what is the difference. Okay, since both values gives you the dispersion, so why we need to define this coefficient of variation. So you will easily understand the exact difference between standard deviation and coefficient of variation. Okay, so let me first define one by one. So first is standard deviation. Okay, as I already told you, every formula we have to see in two category. One is ungrouped data, that is the random observation, and next is for frequency distribution. Okay, so the standard deviation formula for this random observations x1, x2, x3 up to xk. So standard deviation is denoted by sigma, and it is defined as under root of 1 upon k summation I runs from 1 to k, the total number of observation, of xi minus x bar whole square. Okay, so x bar is the arithmetic mean of this given data. So just calculate this value, take the under root, that gives you the standard deviation. Okay, it simply means 1 by k in bracket summation of xi minus x bar whole square means what? Subtract arithmetic mean from each observation. Subtract arithmetic mean from each observation. That is nothing but x1 minus x bar whole square, x2 minus x bar whole square, and so on. At the end, xk minus x bar whole square, and take its under root. So this value is called as the standard deviation. But for calculation purpose, we need to simplify this formula. Okay, it increases your calculation. So just to avoid that, okay, you can simplify this formula. So the simplified formula is like this. So it's better to consider sigma square is equal to 1 by k summation of xi square, put in a 1 bracket, minus mean its square. So this is the simplified formula of the standard deviation. Okay, this is the original formula, and from this original formula only I have calculated this, and this formula is more useful when we actually perform the calculation. So for calculation purpose, basically we have to use this formula only. So sigma square is equal to 1 by k. 1 by k is the total number of observation, multiply by summation of xi square. Just take square of each observation and add those observation, x1 square plus x2 square plus x3 square, and so on, minus, so this is in 1 bracket, this is one value, minus x bar is the mean and its whole square. And then from this you will get, after that just take the square root on both sides. So under root of whatever this value is there, star value, that gives you the standard deviation. Okay, so for calculation purpose you need to remember this formula. Okay, and if you don't want to remember, you can also find that standard deviation using this original formula also. Okay, and the same formula you can write for a frequency distribution. Okay, so can anyone tell me what is the change in case of frequency distribution? Now in case of frequency distribution, we have a data in this form. x1 has frequency f1, x2 has frequency f2, and so on. So can anyone tell me what is the formula? So this k is actually total number of observation. So in case of frequency distribution, the total number of observation is replaced by what? In case of frequency distribution, the total number of observation is replaced by what?
Summation of Fi.
Summation of all. That is denoted by capital N. Okay. Next is summation I runs from 1 to, okay, depend on the given observation. Let us consider xm, last observation, and this is my fm. So I runs from, so this I runs from 1 to m. And now what is the change here? So I have to subtract arithmetic mean from each observation. But in case of frequency distribution, this x1 is the first value is repeated f1 times. Okay, so what we have to consider here?
Fi into xi.
Whether this is correct, I will write first. Whether this is correct.
X bar also submitted those many times.
No.
So what is the correct formula? 1 by n summation I runs from 1 to m. Okay. Now just calculate x1 minus f1. Sorry. Just calculate x1 minus x bar whole square. And as we know that the same value is repeated how many times? At the end we have to subtract x bar from each variable. At the end we have to subtract x bar from each observation. Okay. So let us calculate for first variable only. So for first variable x1, you will get this value as x1 minus x bar whole square. But as we know that the same value is repeated f1 times. Okay, so that finally become f1 into x1 minus x bar whole square. That cover my all observations. Similarly for x2, what is the difference for x2? x2 minus
X
x
minus
bar
X
whole square, but the same value is repeated
multiplied by
f2 times,
F2.
correct? So that we have to consider f2 times x2 minus x bar whole square. So in general, when we shift from this random observation to frequency distribution form, okay, so what is the change here? fi times xi minus x bar whole square. So this is the correct formula when we shift from the random observations to frequency distribution form. Okay, so only we have to consider that repetition, as we know that this each xi is repeated fi times, so just multiply that value by fi. That gives you the that covers your all observations. Okay, so so it is always better to remember formula for only this first form, ungrouped data, and from that you can easily write formula in terms of frequency distribution. Okay, I hope this part is clear to all. Okay, so in case of frequency distribution, this is the change. Okay, this k is replaced by capital N. Okay, and here I consider the n distinct observation. So this n is not the total number of observation, it is just the total number of distinct observations. Okay, and the summation of fi actually gives you the total number of observations, so that is nothing but capital N, and this x1 is repeated f1 times, x2 is repeated f2 times, so the corresponding formula becomes this. Okay, now let us see some remarks. There is one more definition, okay, which is variance. So what is the relation between the standard deviation and variance? So standard deviation is standard deviation is always equal to under root of variance. So in some examples we have given the variance, so from that also we can calculate the standard deviation, or in and reverse, okay, and vice versa. So this is the relation between standard deviation and variance. Okay, or simply the square of the standard deviation actually gives you the variance. Okay, as I already told you, for a calculation purpose I need to change this formula. This is the original definition of standard deviation. Just for calculation purpose, now this formula changes to this. So on calculator you can easily find this value. Just remember this is in one bracket. So 1 by k summation of xi square. So summation of xi square divided by k, this is one value, minus x bar whole square, and then take the square root, then you will get the standard deviation. Okay, and in a similar way you can write this formula, frequency distribution formula, in the simplified form. So the simplified form for this is this k is replaced by capital N, and this each xi is actually repeated by fi times. Xi is repeated by fi times, so this xi square is now replaced by fi into xi square. So that cover all the observations. So fi xi square, remaining things are as it is, x bar whole square. Okay, so for calculation purpose we need to remember these two formulas. Okay, or simply this first formula, 1 by k summation xi square minus x bar whole square. This is the formula for standard deviation. I will take some examples also, so from that also you will understand how I actually apply this formula. And the second definition is the coefficient of variation, and it is defined as coefficient of variation simply denoted by CV, and which is equal to standard deviation upon arithmetic mean multiplied by 100. So can anyone tell me what is the difference between this coefficient of variation and standard deviation? As I already told you, both these statistical tools gives you the dispersion present in the given data. How much data is scattered, or how much dispersion is present in the given data, that you can actually calculate from a standard deviation. So can anyone tell me what is the difference between this coefficient of variation and standard deviation? This is your standard deviation, and this is the formula for coefficient of variation. So why we need to define this coefficient of variation? So can anyone guess from this?
Is it percentage of deviation?
Very good. Okay, so from the coefficient of variation, okay, you will actually get the dispersion in terms of percentage, and from that you will get the clear idea about the given data. Okay, so let me explain that in a next part. I have considered an example also. Okay, for example, if the standard deviation of any given data is say 0.20, okay, so from this we can't predict anything, whether the dispersion is present or not, or how, or what is the quality of that dispersion, whether it is a less dispersion, high dispersion or average dispersion, we can't predict anything just from a standard deviation. But instead of standard deviation, if I calculate CV, coefficient of variation, okay, so CV, what is the formula for CV? Standard deviation upon its arithmetic mean multiplied by 100. So so then it gives you value to be 40, and that is the percentage value. So from this you will easily understand the 40% of scatteredness or dispersion present in the given data. Then you can decide whether we have to go with the data or not. Okay, so that's why we need this CV to check the scatteredness or this dispersion present in the given data. So it's the only difference between these two values. Standard deviation gives you the dispersion present in the given data, but you can't predict anything from that. So we have defined the coefficient of variation, which actually gives you the dispersion in terms of percentage, and then you can easily predict about your data. And these are some results. More CV, actually CV means coefficient of variation, so more CV means more variability, okay, and more variability is not good for us. So more variability means less consistency, okay. Similarly, less CV means less variability, and less variability means more consistency, okay. And the same result is there for the standard deviation, okay. More standard deviation means more variability, means less consistency, and less CV means less variability, means more consistency, okay. So these results are useful to check the consistency present in the given data, okay. So I can explain okay, later on we will see one example on that part also, how you actually check the consistency of a given data. Okay. Now let me take one simple example on the standard deviation. Find the standard deviation of the following data. So here you can see this data is presented in terms of the this is the ungrouped data, okay, this is the ungrouped data. So what is the formula for ungrouped data? So this is the simplified form. So always remember this formula to calculate the standard deviation. So sigma square is equal to 1 by k summation xi square, where I runs from 1 to k, this is in one bracket, minus x bar whole square, okay. So you just calculate summation of xi square. These are your x observation, take square of each observation. You can directly calculate this on calculator also, okay. So x1 square, x2 square, x3 square, and so on, okay. So this final value gives you summation of xi square, okay, divided by total number of observations, okay. So this k, so there are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, so total there are 8 observation, okay. So 1 by 8 into 2 5 4 1 2 minus the arithmetic mean, add all these numbers, divided by total number of observations, then it's square. So the value of sigma square become 40.5. If I take square root on both sides, your standard deviation become 6.3640. So in this way we can calculate standard deviation for ungrouped data, okay. You can directly perform this calculation on calculator. Just take square of each number, add this number, divided by total number of observation, you will get this first value. Then calculate mean, take its square, and take the subtraction of these two number, you will get the value of sigma square, and then you have to take the under root, okay. That is the final value of standard deviation. And from this example you will understand the importance of the coefficient of variation. So see this example. The scores obtained by two batsmen A and B in last 10 matches are given below, okay. Determine who is more consistent, okay. So this problem you can solve using the coefficient of variation. So just calculate the coefficient of variation, that is CV of player A. Just calculate the coefficient of variation of player B. If I say that the coefficient of variation of player B is more than coefficient of variation of player A, then which player is consistent?
A.
Okay, A player is consistent, okay, because A player has less CV, okay. So this is the this is your final conclusion. That so for that we need to first calculate CV of player A and CV of player B. So let me show you this part quickly. So I will not explain in detail about the standard deviation and all. So CV of player A, what is the formula for coefficient of variation? It is actually a standard deviation upon arithmetic mean multiplied by 100. So just calculate the standard deviation for batsman A, okay. In a similar way, 1 by n summation of xi square minus x bar whole square. So just calculate summation of xi square for this for player A, total number of observation, then also calculate mean, take its square, find this difference, you will get the standard deviation. Okay. And similarly calculate coefficient of variation of for player B. Okay, and then you can compare these two values. Okay, so I already calculated this part, as I have to cover many topics, so I will directly jump to the last step. Okay, this calculation you can directly refer from a PDF. It is not difficult. Okay, so I will directly show you the final two values. Okay, so the CV of player A is actually 36.75. This is in terms of percentage, and CV of player B is 26.32. So clearly you can see the CV of player A is more than CV of player B. So that implies your player B is actually more consistent. So player B is more consistent than player A. Okay. So this is the this you can say the application of this dispersion using standard deviation and coefficient of variation. So this is all about your second tool. Okay, first is central tendency, second is dispersion. So in central tendency we have three values, mean, mode and median. For dispersion we have two methods, one is standard deviation, second is coefficient of variation. Now before I start to next topic, let me just give you some examples on this part. These are some MCQs, important MCQs on the topic dispersion. Okay, so first is what? Standard deviation of these three numbers. Okay, so just calculate sigma square first, which is 1 upon total number of observation. So there are 3 observation, correct? What is the formula? Sigma square is equal to 1 by n summation xi square. So square of each number, add this number divided by total number of observation minus mean its square. So 1 by 3, then 9 square plus 10 square plus 11 square. Calculate this value minus calculate mean also. What is the formula for mean? Add all these numbers divided by total number of observation, take its square. Okay, and then calculate sigma. That become the final answer. So you can easily do this calculation on calculator and check what is the sigma. I think your final answer is this under root of 2 by 3. Okay, always remember, from this you will get sigma square. So at the end just take the square root. So I think this value is 2 by 3. If you check, this value is 2 by 3, and then you will get sigma to be under root of 2 by 3. Okay. So this you can directly perform on a calculator. If you practice properly, this whole calculation you can directly perform on a calculator. Okay. So this is the first question. Next is from a given information. So we have given summation of x, addition of all our observation. Also we have given summation of xi square, means x1 square plus x1 square. Okay, sum of the square of all the observation. N means total number of observation, that count is 10, and from this information we have to calculate standard deviation of x. So can anyone tell me what is the formula for this? What we have to write here? So formula is there. So sigma square is equal to 1 by n, n means 10, multiply by summation of xi square, which is given 6750, okay, minus mean. Okay, so mean is not given. So how we calculate mean from this data? How we calculate mean?
Summation of x divided by n.
Summation of x, that is 235 divided by total number of observation, its square. Okay, so this gives you the sigma x square. Calculate sigma x. That is your final answer. So I think I'm giving you direct answer. You can verify this calculation. So that value is I think 11.08. Okay. I am covering many MCQs on this topic. So मैं quickly जा रहा हूँ. Okay. Now next is coefficient of variation of this data. So to calculate coefficient of variation, we need to calculate standard deviation also. We need to calculate arithmetic mean also, and then we multiply it by 100. Okay. So calculate standard deviation, calculate arithmetic mean. Arithmetic mean is what? Add all these number 13579 divided by total number of observation, which are 5. Okay. This gives you mean. And how you calculate the arithmetic mean? That is sigma square, which is equal to 1 by n multiply by 1 by n into 1 square plus 3 square plus 5 square plus 7 square plus 9 square, this is in one bracket, minus this mean, this square. Okay. And then just do this calculation, you will get that final CV. So I think answer of this question is B. You can verify your calculation. Next is standard deviation and arithmetic mean. So what is given? We have given a standard deviation which is 12, arithmetic mean which is equal to 45.5. The coefficient of variation of a distribution, that is CV. So formula is standard deviation upon arithmetic mean multiplied by 100. Okay. So that gives you the final solution. So I think answer of this question is this. I will share this PDF also, so from that also later on you will do this calculation. Now the standard deviation and arithmetic mean of aggregate mass obtained in 3 group of students. Okay, X, Y, Z are as follows. So we have given the information about variable X. So its arithmetic mean is this, its standard deviation is this. We have given the information about variable Y, whose arithmetic mean is this, standard deviation is this. Also we have given the information about variable Z, whose arithmetic mean is 650 and standard deviation is 10. And what is the question? The more variable group. So what is the final answer? The more variable group.
CV.
Which variable? Which variable has more variability?
The one with more CV.
The one with more CV. But see here you can calculate CV also. But as I already told you, okay, standard deviation also gives you the variability. So note, as far as this MCQ is concerned, you can directly check this standard deviation from this column. So here you can see this X variable standard deviation 11, okay, which is more than Y and Z. So from that also you can directly write the X variable has the more variability. If you calculate CV also, CV of X is greater than the remaining 2 values. Okay. Both are similar. Standard deviation and CV both are similar. But what is the role of CV? CV gives you the information in terms of percentage. So when we want to predict something, how much the dispersion is present in terms of percentage. For that only we calculate the CV. Otherwise, no need to calculate that CV. You can directly write down from standard deviation also.
Sir, it means irrespective of the arithmetic mean, we can make a judgment based on the standard deviation values.
Yes. Just from standard deviation also you can compare. In case of comparison, you can directly go with standard deviation. Okay. If it is individual variable, only X is there, and you want to see how much dispersion is present in the given data. So for that you need that value in terms of percentage. So that you will get some idea about the dispersion present in the given data. Maybe it is less dispersed or high dispersed, like that. But standard deviation also tells you the same information. So as far as MCQs are concerned, no need to calculate that CV. You can directly do the judgment from the standard deviation, because the clear-cut comparison is there in terms of its standard deviation. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next is arithmetic mean of 4 numbers is 16. One item 20 is replaced by 24. Okay. So let me first complete this part. We have given arithmetic mean of 4 numbers. So let us denote it by x bar. So and let us consider those 4 numbers are x1, x2, x3 and x4 divided by 4, and this value is 16. This is from first statement. Arithmetic mean of 4 numbers is 16. So I have write this. One item 20 is replaced by 24. It means what? One of the observation from this 4 is what? So from this 4 observation, one item which is 20 is replaced by 24 means what?
One of the value is
20. In this 4 observation, one of the value is 20. So I will delete this last value, and instead of this x4, I will consider here 20. As we know that one of the value is 20. Okay. So this is the given data. What we have to calculate? We have to replace this 20 value by 24. and we have to calculate the new arithmetic mean. So the new arithmetic mean is equal to, just replace this 20 by 24, remaining things are as it is, and calculate this value. Okay. So to calculate this new arithmetic value, we need the value of x1, x2 and x3. We need this value, so that you can calculate from this given data. So what is the value of x1 plus x2 plus x3? So this is equal to
1 minus
16 into 4 minus 20. So just calculate this and then consider this value here. Can anyone tell me the final answer? What is my new arithmetic mean?
17.
70. Okay, and so these are the some examples on dispersion. Okay, here I try to cover all the variety present in that topic. So I think this few MCQs cover all the portion on dispersion. Now the next or the third statistical tool, that is movement or movement skewness and kurtosis. Okay. So as we know that central tendency is nothing but average, so we will get some information about a given data. Next is dispersion. Dispersion gives you the scatteredness present in the given data. Okay. And now the third statistical tool is movement. Okay. So from movement you will understand nature of the given data, whether that data is positively skewed or whether that data is negatively skewed or whether that data is normally distributed. Okay, such type of prediction you can do using this movement. Okay. So I will explain in detail, okay, how we actually predict the nature of a given data from movements. Okay, so let me first define what is the movement. So the rth movement, where r is the natural number, so the rth movement about mean x bar is denoted by mu r, and it is defined as mu r is equal to 1 upon k summation xi minus x bar raised to r, where I runs from 1 to k. Okay. So from this definition, can anyone tell me what is the relation between standard deviation and mu2? What is the relation between standard deviation and mu2?
Rth root.
Yes. So here, if I put r is equal to 2,
They are equal, sir.
no, they are not equal.
No, it's r by
Square
2
plus mean.
root r by 2.
Variance.
So I think if I consider under root of this, under root of mu2, so that become my standard deviation, because if I consider r is equal to 2, that is mu2 is equal to 1 by k, I runs from 1 to k, xi minus x bar, and if I take its under root, so this is nothing but a standard deviation. So this is the relation between standard deviation and this mu2. Okay. So on this also there are some MCQs are there. Okay. So this is the rth movement. So mu r is the notation for rth movement about mean. So this is very important. About means what? Just subtract mean. About mean का मीनिंग है कि आपको बस मीन सबट्रैक्ट करना फ्रॉम ईच ऑब्जर्वेशन. Okay. Next is what? The rth movement about any number, or this is the number other than mean. Okay, this is the number other than mean. So of any random number, that is say capital A, is denoted by mu dash r. So first of all, please understand the difference between mu r and mu dash r. Mu r is the movement about mean. So minus x bar is there, and in case of mu dash r, it is actually a movement about a point. About point means capital A. Okay. So here you have to subtract capital A from each observation. Otherwise, definitions are similar. Okay. And now we have a relation between these two variables, that is mu r and mu dash r. And in our syllabus, we focus on only first 4 movements. Okay. And their formulas. Okay, as far as our syllabus is concerned, we focus on only this first 4 movements, that is r vary from 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay. And this is the relation between this mu r and mu dash r. Okay. So these formulas are not that much trivial. So mu1, okay, mu1 is always 0. When I put r equal to 1, okay, that proof is also trivial. mu1 is always 0. Okay, so the this moment about mean, there is one more word for this. These are also called as central moment. I forgot to add this word. These are also called as central moment. Moments about mean. Okay. So the first central moment is always 0 for any given data. For any given data, your value of mu1 is always 0. Now mu2 is actually equal to mu2 dash minus mu1 dash whole square. So this dash is actually a moment about a random point. So mu2 dash minus mu1 dash whole square. The third moment mu3 is equal to mu3 dash minus 3 mu1 dash mu2 dash plus 2 mu1 dash cube. The fourth moment, that is mu4, is equal to mu4 dash minus 4 mu1 dash mu3 dash plus 6 mu1 dash square mu2 dash minus 3 mu1 dash raised to 4. Okay, so by some logic you need to remember all these formulas. Okay, these are not the trivial formulas to remember. Okay, but this is the relation between this mu r and mu dash r, because in some example we have given the first 4 moment about a point, means we have given these 4 values, mu1 dash, mu2 dash, mu3 dash and mu4 dash. We have given these 4 values, and from these 4 values we have to calculate the central moments, that is mu1, mu2, mu3 and mu4. So for this question particularly, you need to remember this relation between this mu r and mu dash r. Okay, so and there are some more formulas on this. Okay, you can also calculate the moment using this you can also calculate the mean using this moment. So this is the first formula. The arithmetic mean is also equal to that random point plus mu1 dash, where mu1 dash is the moment about a point A. This mu1 dash is a moment about a point A. So this is the first formula. Next, this I already explained. The standard deviation sigma is equal to under root of mu2. And why we consider the moments up to why we consider only first 4 moments? Okay, because from first 4 moments we can calculate the coefficient of skewness and coefficient of kurtosis, and from these 2 values we can predict our given data. This is all about the moment. Okay, so why we consider only first 4 moments? Because from first 4 moments we can calculate the coefficient of skewness and kurtosis. You can see that mu4 we need for this beta 2. For beta 1 we don't need that mu4, but for beta 2 we need that mu4. And what are these formulas? Beta 1, which is called as coefficient of skewness, and it is defined as mu3 square upon mu2 cube. Mu3 square upon mu2 cube, that gives you beta 1, that is nothing but coefficient of skewness. And next is what? Beta 2, that is called as coefficient of kurtosis, and it is defined as mu4 upon mu2 square. Mu4 upon mu2 square. Now, how you actually predict that data just from these 2 values, beta 1 and beta 2? So let me give you remarks in that case. And again, in this case also you can write a formula for variance. Okay, standard deviation. So what is variance? What is variance in this case? What is the relation between variance and moment? So this variance is equal to, what is the relation between variance and moment? If we consider, or as we already know that standard deviation is equal to under root of variance, but standard deviation is equal to under root of mu2. So what is the relation between variance and mu2? So variance is equal to mu2 directly. Correct. So this under root part is the variance. So questions are there on this part also. What is the variance? What is the standard deviation? What is the mean? What is the coefficient of skewness? What is the coefficient of kurtosis, like that? And again, I will not go in detail. See, this is the nature that you can easily understand from that from the values of skewness and kurtosis. Okay, so this type of nature is called as negative skew. This type of nature where when a curve is shifted towards your y-axis. Okay, this type of nature is called as positive skewness. And if you are beta 1 is the coefficient of skewness. If this value is positive, then your distribution is positive skew distribution. So your distribution is of this form. So roughly you will get the nature of your given distribution, okay, by calculating this beta 1. If your beta 1 is negative, then you will get negative skew distribution. So your data is distributed like this. and if your beta 1 is 0, then that graph is normally distributed. So this is the normal distribution. So such type of thing you can calculate from a given data using this beta. Similarly, for beta 2, okay, here you can measure the thickness present in a given data, whether it is leptokurtic, whether it is mesokurtic. Mesokurtic is similar to normal distribution, or whether it is platykurtic, flat curve is there. So this thing or this information you will get from the kurtosis, that is coefficient of kurtosis. So when your beta 2 is greater than 3, then that curve is called as leptokurtic. So it is more peak. This is your leptokurtic. When your beta 2 is equal to 3, then you will get the mesokurtic, that is called as normally distributed. And when your beta 2 is less than 3, then it is called as platykurtic, more flat is there, like this. So such type of nature you can directly identify from these three values, from the value of beta 2, which is mu 4 upon mu 2 square. So at the end, this moment, from moment you will understand nature of the given data. Whether it is positively skewed, negatively skewed, or whether it is leptokurtic, whether it is platykurtic, whether it is mesokurtic, like that. So this information you will get from this moment. And let us see some MCQs on this quickly. So for a distribution, coefficient of kurtosis, that is beta 2, is 2.5. So here you can see this beta 2, which is equal to 2.5. This value is less than 3. Okay.
Leptokurtic.
Therefore it is called as leptokurtic. Sorry, correct. And for a distribution where beta 2 is equal to 3.9,
Platykurtic.
okay, so it is greater than 3, therefore it is platykurtic.
Sir, the first one I think beta 2 is 2.5. It's vice versa, sir.
It is less than 3, then it is platykurtic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Correct it again. Just reverse this. It is, I think, platykurtic, and then it is leptokurtic. And for equal to 3, that graph is mesokurtic, or simply it's a normally distributed curve. Okay. So these are some results that you will directly get from this kurtosis, coefficient of kurtosis. Next question is the first 4 moments of a distribution about mean. So always focus on the point. Okay, about mean moments are given or about point moments are given. Accordingly, we need to change our formulas. Okay, so here we have given the first 4 moments about mean. So how we denote this by? So the first moment. So first moment is denoted by mu1, which is 0. As these moments are about mean, तो वहाँ पे dash नहीं आएगा. Next is mu2, which is 16. Then third moment minus 64. The fourth moment 162. And we have to calculate standard deviation of the given distribution. So what is that formula?
Square root of 2.
Square root of 2.
Square root
It is
of
4.
2. That is 4.
Okay.
So this option is correct. Next is what? Now there are many questions on this part. Okay. Here I just consider the different MCQs or the here I try to cover all the variety present in this topic moment. So MCQs which are in repetition, okay, that I have skipped actually. So you can see the 72 directly, here I consider 29. So in between MCQs are similar to this previous MCQs. Okay. So the first 3 moments of a distribution about a value. So here we have not given a mean. So we have given the moment about a point. So here we have given that point to be 5. And that first 3 moments are, so we have to consider with the dash. So mu1 dash is 2, mu2 dash is 20, and mu3 dash is 40. Correct? And then we have to find the third moment about mean. Okay. So again we need to remember this formula. Sorry, mu3 is the moment about mean. So third moment about mean. So what is that? What is this formula? Anyone knows? So mu3 dash minus
3 mu1 dash.
mu1 dash, mu2 dash.
3 mu1 dash into mu dash plus 2 into mu1 dash q.
mu1 dash q. Okay. And then you can just put all these values here. You will get this. You will get the value of third moment about me. And in a similar way, you can try this next question. Here we have given the 4 moments about value 5. Same value is there. mu1, mu2, mu3, mu4, and we have to calculate the 4th moment about me. So just write down the formula for mu4. Do that calculation. You will get the value of mu4 also. So for this 2 question, we just need to remember the relation between moment about mean and moment about a point, that is mu r and mu r dash. So from that also you can easily solve all the examples on this point. So this is one way. Next is what? The first and second moment of distribution about value. So A is given. So mu1 dash. So those values are 1 and 16, and mu2 dash is 16. So calculate the variance of distribution. Okay. I think there is some correction. Okay, I have to add one option here. Okay. So next is what? Calculate the variance of distribution. So what is the answer? Anyone?
Need to calculate mu2 and this one then.
As we know that our variance is actually mu2, and here we have not given the mu2. Here we have given mu2 dash. So don't consider directly 16 as your final answer. This is the mu2 dash. Here we have given the moments about a value, about a point. So first calculate mu2. So what is the formula for mu2?
mu2 dash minus mu1 dash square.
mu2 dash minus mu1 dash square. So using these 2 values, so that is I think 16 minus 1 square, that will be 15. And whatever value is there, that become mu2. And mu2 is nothing but variance. Therefore your final answer is 15. So I think that option is there. So it is 15. Okay. Next is, so we have to focus more on what is given, whether we have given the moment about a point or about a mean. Accordingly we have to select our point. The second and third moment of a distribution of arithmetic mean. The second and third moment about a mean are given. So second is 16 and third is minus 64, and we have to calculate beta 1, coefficient of skewness. So what is that formula?
mu3 square by mu2 cube.
mu3 square by mu2 cube, and just put all these values, you will get the value of beta 1. In a similar way, the second question is similar to that. Here we have to calculate beta 2, and the formula for beta 2 is, I guess, mu4 upon mu2 square. Correct? So here we have given the second and fourth moment. Correct? So this is my second moment, this is my fourth moment, and accordingly you can calculate beta 2. So straightforward problems are there on the formulas. Okay. So 2 more topics are there, and which are difficult. Okay. Not this correlation. The last topic, regression, there are some more interesting questions are there. Variety is there. Variety is present in that last topic, regression. Okay. So now this is, you can say, the 4th tool. Okay, we have started with the central tendency. Next is the dispersion. Now 3rd topic is the movement. We will get the nature of the given data. Now our 4th statistical tool is the correlation. Okay, as this word itself tells you. So from this statistical tool, okay, you will understand, or you will get the information about the relationship it's present between the 2 variables. So this statistical tool actually measure the linear relationship between the 2 variables. Means what? Means what? For example, if I consider one variable x, if I consider the other variable say y. Okay. So from this statistical tool, that is from a correlation. Okay. You will get the information about whether these 2 values are directly proportional or whether these 2 values are inversely proportional. Okay. Or there is no relation between these 2 variables. So this information you will get from this correlation, whether these 2 variables are directly proportional or whether they are inversely proportional, and or whether there is no relationship between these 2 variables. Okay. So such type of information you will get from this 4th statistical tool. Okay. So let me just give you all these formulas. So Carl Pearson actually developed a formula which is called as the correlation coefficient. So it's a single value, and from that single value you can directly predict the relationship present between those 2 variables. So the coefficient of correlation between two variable, as this topic or this as this formula is only for two variable. Here you can find the relationship between two variable. So the coefficient of correlation between two variable x and y, which is denoted by r of xy, and it is defined as r of xy is equal to covariance. COV means covariance of xy. I will tell you what is meant by covariance. So covariance of xy divided by standard deviation of x into standard deviation of y. This is the formula for coefficient of correlation, denoted by small r, and it is equal to covariance of xy upon sigma x into sigma y. Okay, let me just define what is meant by this covariance of xy. Again, I will explain this formula in both case, for ungrouped data also and for frequency distribution also. Okay, or you can directly write that formula from ungrouped data itself. So the covariance of xy, this is the in general formula. Covariance of xy is equal to 1 upon n summation I runs from 1 to n xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar. So just subtract x bar, mean of x variable from each xi, subtract mean of each variable of y. Okay, so subtract mean of y bar from each yi, subtract mean y bar from each yi, then take the product and consider the summation I runs from 1 to n. Okay, that gives you the covariance of xy. But again, for calculation purpose, okay, you have to change this formula. So this is the simplified form. It's always better to work with this second formula, or this simplified formula. Most of the questions are there on this second formula directly. Okay, so the covariance of xy is equal to, in one bracket, 1 by n summation of xi yi minus the product of their means x bar into y bar. This is the simplified formula. That also you can easily prove from this given result. Just take the product xi into yi, xi into y bar, and then if you simplify this, you will get the same result as it is. So 1 by n summation I runs from 1 to n xi yi minus x bar into y bar. Now can anyone tell me what is the corresponding formula in frequency distribution or in frequency domain? Now just generalize this formula in terms of frequency distribution. So can anyone tell me what is this formula? Tell me the simplified formula, or can anyone try this? So this small n is replaced by, so this n is the number of observations, but when we are in frequency domain, we have to replace it by capital N. Okay, summation I runs from 1 to, depend on that number of observation. Let me consider k, as I don't know what are the distinct observations present in the given data. And now here I have to consider product of xi and yi for all variables. So how you adjust in terms of frequency here? Yes. Here we have to assume, the one more condition is there. Here we have to assume the frequency of x1 and y1 as f1. Okay. So with this restriction, you have to tell me. So the frequency of both x1 and y1, or frequency of xi and yi, is actually fi. So so it is same for both xi and y. Yes. So in this case, can anyone tell me what is the formula for frequency distribution with the same frequency?
F1 xi plus F2 yi.
Fi xi yi.
As I already told you, suppose if I consider a table like this, correct? Fi, xi and yi, because whatever the frequency of x1 is there and y1 is there, okay, both frequencies same, which is f1. And similarly x2, y2 has frequency f2, and so on. xn, xk, xk, yk has frequency, let us consider fk. Okay, and now at then, so this x1, y1, this both values repeated f1 times. So their product x1, y1 is also repeated f1 times. Are you getting this? This x1, y1, both these observations are repeated f1 times. So their product is also repeated f1 times. So the frequency of x1, y1 is also f1. Frequency of f2, y2 is f2. Frequency of xk, yk is fk. So at then we have to vary the summation from fi, xi, yi, where I runs from 1 to k. Is this clear? Is this clear?
Yes.
With one condition, that the frequency of both variable is same. Okay, क्योंकि अगर आप यहाँ पे फ्रीक्वेंसी वैरी करते हो ना, मतलब x1 की इफ आई कंसिडर से f1 frequency and y1 has say f1 dash frequency, then this formula is not useful, then or it is not the case of this this ungrouped frequency distribution. Okay, then it become a different problem. So here we have to assume that the frequency of both xi and yi to be fi. So with this similar frequency you can generalize this problem in terms of frequency distribution. Okay, and minus product of mean x bar into y bar. Okay, you can directly work out this, you can easily work out this thing by taking some numbers directly. Okay, instead of this taking this variable, you can take a number and then you can try this why these two values are equal. Okay, and remaining formulas are similar, so I will not explain those. And now there are some important remarks on this correlation. So the most important result as far as correlation is concerned, this R value is always lies between -1 and 1. So the coefficient of correlation, that is R, is lies between -1 and 1. So if you get the value of R to be say 1.2, which is totally wrong, or if you get the value of R to be say -1.5, which is totally wrong. Okay, so whatever value is there, okay, of this R, so that value must be lie in between -1 and 1. Okay, this trick is useful in regression also. So later on you will understand what is the importance of this part. Now how you predict just from this one single value. So that remark is there. If R is very close to 0, it means there is no relationship between the variables. Okay, so x and y. Okay, so in between x and y there is no relationship present. If R is positive, then it means as one variable get larger, the other get larger. It simply means if R is positive, there is directly proportional relationship present between these two variables. If R is negative, it means there is inverse proportional relation is present, relationship is present between the two variable x and y. Okay, or vice versa also, y is inversely proportional to x. Or it simply means if one get larger, other gets smaller, the inverse relation. Okay. So this is the prediction that you can do directly from this value R. Now let us take some MCQs on this. Summation of xy. Summation of xy is given. X bar is given, y bar is given, n is given. We have to calculate covariance of xy. So what is the formula for covariance of xy? I have given the simplified formula: 1 by n
Summation of xi y.
Summation of xi y. This is in one bracket minus product of their mean. So this is equal to 1 by 10 multiplied by summation of xi y is given 1242 minus product of their mean. So that is minus 5.1 multiplied by minus 10, that become plus, and then we can calculate the final answer. So I think we check. I think this answer is 73.2. Okay. Next is summation of x square is given, summation of y square is given, summation of x plus y whole square is given, n is given, x bar given, y bar is given. We have to again calculate covariance of xy. Okay. So again, if I consider the formula for covariance of xy, which is 1 by n summation of xi yi minus x bar and y bar product. Okay, so I think we have given x bar आपके पास है, also we have given y bar. Okay, only thing is what we need to calculate the summation of xi yi from these three values. How we do this? Anyone? X bar is given, y bar is given. Only we have to calculate the summation of xi y from these three values, from these three given things: summation x square, summation y square, and summation of x plus y whole square. Yes, anyone? What is given?
It is x square plus y square plus 2xy, this relation.
Yes. So first of all, I will apply the formula of a plus b whole square. So summation of x plus y whole square, which is equal to 10623. Okay, so if I apply the formula of a plus b whole square, that gives me a square plus 2ab plus b square. Now separate with the summation. So this is equal to summation x square. As we know that 2 is constant, that you can take outside to the summation. So 2 into summation of xy plus summation of y square. So this LHS is 10623. We have given summation of x square, we have given summation of y square. Okay, here. So can anyone tell me what is value of summation of xy? I also calculate this. So please do this calculation and just tell me the value of summation of xy. Summation of xy is 10623 minus summation of x square 2291 minus summation of y square 3056, and just divide this by 2. Yes, please check.
2638. 2638. 2638.
This is my answer. So summation of xy is through 2638, and now total number of observations are 10. So 1 by 10 multiply by this value minus x bar y bar will give the final answer. Okay. So in this way we can solve this question number 15. Okay. I will share all the answers. I will share the whole answer key with you. I think this answer is 13.9. Yeah, next is covariance is given, sigma x is given, sigma y is given. Okay, you have to just calculate r. So I will just give you the formula. As we know that coefficient of correlation, that is r, is equal to covariance of xy upon sigma x into sigma y. So just put all these values, you will get your final answer. So it's a trivial example. Next, we have given summation of xy, we have given x bar, we have given y bar, and sigma x, sigma y, and here also we have to calculate r. So r is covariance of xy upon sigma x, sigma y. So we have given sigma x, we have given sigma y. Only thing is what we have to calculate covariance of xy, and which is equal to 1 by n summation of xy in one bracket minus x bar into y bar. So all values are given. Summation of xy is given, x bar is given, y bar is given. Just put these values here. You will get the value of covariance of xy, and then you can easily calculate the value of r. In next example, summation of xy is given, x bar is given, y bar is given, n is given, variance of x is given, okay, and variance of y is given, okay, and then again we have to calculate the r. Okay, so r is equal to covariance of xy upon sigma x into sigma y. So what is the value of sigma x? Standard deviation of x
6.
is actually a variance of, is actually under root of variance of x, and we have given the variance of x, which is 36, so that is nothing but 6. Similarly, sigma y is actually a variance of y, that is given, which is under root of 25, that is nothing but 5. So now sigma x is there, sigma y is there. And to calculate covariance of xy, use the same formula. Summation of xy is given, x bar is given, y bar is given, and n is given. Okay, so only this part is new, the relation between standard deviation and variance. So here n is given, summation x, summation y, summation x square, summation y square, summation of xy, and we have to calculate coefficient of correlation, that is r, correct. So again r is equal to covariance of xy upon sigma x into sigma y. So let us do one by one. How we calculate sigma x? So for that we need to use the formula for standard deviation, that is sigma x square is equal to 1 by n summation of xi square minus x bar whole square, and from this you will get the value of sigma x. Similarly, you can write the formula for sigma y square, which is equal to 1 by n summation of summation of yi square in one bracket minus y bar whole square, and from this you will get the value of sigma y. Again, for this particular formula, how we calculate x bar, how we calculate mean? Summation of xi square is given, तो ये हो जाएगा सर. How we calculate x bar? हाँ, so for this again we need to consider summation of x upon n, sum of all the observation divided by total number of observation, that gives you mean. Same for this y bar. Okay, so for this MCQs you need to perform, I think, all these calculations. Okay, sigma x, sigma y, and then covariance of xy. For this 1 by n summation of xi yi, so summation of xi yi is given minus x bars into y bar. Okay, so that you will get from this first calculation itself. Okay, so first of all here we need to calculate x bar. Okay, mean पहले calculate करो, mean of x bar, mean of y bar, then you can calculate sigma x square, then you can calculate sigma y square, from that you will get sigma x, sigma y, then you can calculate covariance of x, y. Okay. So just formula based question is there, one by one you have to identify first कि आपको पहले क्या calculate करना है. Okay, is this clear? Question number 22.
Yes.
Okay. Next is, you are given the following information related to a distribution comprising 10 observations. So here n is equal to 10, x bar is given, y bar is given, summation x square is given, summation y square is given, again summation of x plus y whole square is given. Okay, so using previous logic, from this you will get the summation of xi yi. Just apply the formula of a plus b whole square, put the value of summation x square plus and summation y square, then you will get the value of summation of xi yi. Okay, and now you can calculate r. So for r we need covariance and the standard deviation, sigma x and sigma y, correct? So sigma x we have to calculate using the same formula, sigma y also using same formula. For covariance you will get summation xi y from this given data, and x bar y bar is already given. So everything is there, just apply a proper formula and perform the calculation accordingly. Okay, so I will share the formula sheet also, so from there also one by one you will understand the formulas. This part I already calculated, how to find the summation of xi y from x plus y whole square. There are many varieties there. So given a following data, we have given r, summation of x y, all these values, x bar, y bar, and from this we have to calculate n. Okay, so in such examples, write down the proper formula for r, which is equal to covariance of xy upon sigma x into sigma y. That is nothing but r is equal to, what is the formula for covariance of xy? 1 by n summation of xi yi in one bracket minus x bar into y bar whole divided by this become, these values are given, I think sigma x is given and sigma y is given. Okay, so just put the value of sigma x here, sigma y is here, r is also given 0.022, x bar y bar is also given, x bar y bar are also given, summation of xy is also given. So all values are given, just put all these values here and then just calculate the value of n. Or you can simplify this first, r into sigma x into sigma y plus x bar into y bar, that gives you 1 by n into summation of xi yi, and then you can shift this in the denominator, or you can reverse this. Okay, n is equal to, you can write down the formula. So finally n is equal to summation of xi yi upon this whole part, r into sigma x into sigma y plus x bar into y bar. Then also you can calculate this n. Okay, so just rearranging the formula, by rearranging this formula you will get the value of n. Okay. The same question is there, I think it's a difference, so let me take that. So coefficient of correlation, okay, 429, between variable x and y. So here we have given the r, which is 0.8, their covariance of xy is also given 20, variance of x is given, but variance of x is nothing but the standard deviation of x, correct? So standard deviation of x is under root of 16, that is 4, and standard deviation of y have to calculate karna. Here from this we have to calculate standard deviation of y. So just apply this formula, r is equal to covariance of xy upon sigma x into sigma y. R is given, covariance is given, sigma x is given, just calculate sigma y. Okay, so with this speed also I am up to correlation only. Now the last topic is remaining, regression. So can I continue for 10 to 20 minutes if you permit?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just quickly, I will tell you all the important MCQs as far as this last topic is concerned. Okay, so from the last statistical tool, you will understand how we actually find the relationship between these two variables. x and y. So this is the last tool as far as syllabus is concerned, that is regression. So from regression you will actually get that relation. So in statistical modeling, regression analysis is a statistical process of estimating the relationship among the variables. So you will actually get that relation, and it is estimated by lines of regression. So the lines of regression gives the best estimate for the value of one variable for some specified value of the other variable. So generally this regression is useful when we want to estimate, or when we want to find value of one variable from the second variable, and vice versa. Find value of second variable from first variable. So in that case generally we prefer this lines of regression. Okay. Again I will explain what is the importance of this lines of regression. From these lines of regression you can find the value of value of variable x, okay, from y, or value of variable y from x. So to estimate the value of other variable, or to estimate the value of second variable from a first variable, we generally prefer this regression, and vice versa. So, or simply you can say this regression actually gives you the relationship between these two variables. Okay, from previous topic we already check how to identify a relationship between two variables. Okay, whether it is directly proportional relationship or whether it is inversely proportional relationship. Only in these two cases you can using regression you can actually identify, or you can actually calculate that relationship. Okay. And for that relationship we have two formulas. One is called as regression line y on x, and it is defined as y minus y bar, where y bar is the mean. Byx, you can simply call it as slope, or this is called as regression coefficient, Byx into x minus x bar. Now this is just a notation, as we started with the y, and on LHS we have y, and on RHS we have x. So with the same sequence you have to consider this coefficient Byx, and it is defined as, so this Byx is actually r into sigma y upon sigma x, where r is the coefficient of correlation, the sigma y sigma x are the standard deviation. You can maintain the same sequence, ऊपर sigma y आ जाएगा, नीचे sigma x आ जाएगा आपका. So Byx equal to r sigma y sigma x. This is the definition of Byx. If I put this value here, then you will get so Byx is equal to what is the value of r? R is equal to covariance of x upon sigma x sigma y from a previous topic. You can cancel this sigma y. Then finally you will get the formula for this Byx. This is the simplified formula. So Byx is equal to covariance of xy upon sigma x square. So again I will explain this. Regression line y on x is this, y minus y bar is equal to Byx into x minus x bar, where Byx is equal to, actually this is the main formula, r into sigma y upon sigma x. You can simplify this formula to this, that is covariance of xy upon sigma x square. There is one more representation is there. As we know that only variables are x and y. इस केस में आपके पास दो ही वेरिएबल x and y, others are constant. So y bar, x bar, and b bar, all these other numbers are constant. So this I can write it as y is equal to byx into x plus c. Is it correct? Can I write this same formula in this form? Can I write the same formula in this form?
Yes, sir, we can write. It's equation of
Yes.
So that c is actually y bar यहाँ पे आने वाला है y bar plus byx into x bar. So what is that c? If you want to calculate that c is actually y bar plus byx into x bar. Sorry, minus. So so this is also one more representation of regression line y on x. So always remember, y on x means you have to start with y, and on RHS you have to consider x. So or simply write the given equation in the form of y equal to f of x. This form is called as regression line y on x. In similar way, there is one more line which is called as regression line x on y. Okay, exactly reverse, just interchange x and y in this first formula. You get the formula for this. So I will not explain this in detail. Similar formula is there, just interchange x and y. You will get the formula for regression line x and y. And in this case also, where covariance sigma x per, all these are already defined. In this case also, you can write x is equal to dxy y plus c. So simply at the end, okay, y on x, it means y is equal to f of x, and x on y means x is equal to f. Just try to remember this two definition. Regression line y on x means y equal to the function of x, and the regression line x on y means x is equal to function of y with some constant. And we know that it is actually a straight line. It is actually a straight line. V by x is a slope. Here v x y is a slope, and c is what? C is what? Y coordinate. So I will not go in detail about this line, but it is actually a straight line. And now there are some remarks. So these are the definition of Vyx and Vx, regression coefficient. These are called as regression coefficient or slope in the regression lines. They are the slopes in the regression lines. So if I take this product, you will get the one more formula for coefficient of correlation, or simply this is the relation between coefficient of correlation and the regression coefficient, or simply a relation between correlation and regression. So on this formula, so there are many MCQs. So R is equal to under root of Vyx into Bx. That is so from this formula also you can calculate the value of correlation coefficient, or R. And as I already told you, from y on x, okay, y on x, regression line y on x means what? Y minus y bar is equal to Vyx into x minus x bar. From this line, we can calculate the value of y. We can calculate the value of y if x is given. So remember, if in any question, if I want to calculate y for a given x, use this formula. And if I want to calculate x, for a given y, then we have to use the second formula. Okay. So regression line y on x is useful to calculate value of y. Similarly, regression line x on y is useful to calculate value of x. So remember this two important definitions. Remarks. Now there are some convention, sign convention for this R. Okay. So if both regression coefficients are positive, then you have to consider your R to be positive. Then your correlation coefficient is also positive. If your both regression coefficients are negative, then your R is also negative. So on this part also there are some MCQs. So this is the sign convention for this coefficient of correlation. If both these values are positive, you will get a positive answer. If both these values are negative, just multiply this answer by minus sign. This is the change. And one more definition. As we know that these two are my lines of regression. Okay. So if I put x is equal to x bar, and if I put y equal to y bar in any equation, so both this equation actually satisfies this point. So simply x bar and y bar is actually a point which satisfies this lines of regression. You can check this. Just put y equal to y bar and x equal to x bar. LHS is 0, RHS is 0. So it means point x bar, y bar actually satisfies this equation. Also it satisfies this second equation. So from this remark, you can find the values of arithmetic. You can find the values of x bar and y bar. Arithmetic mean of x and arithmetic mean of y. So there are all the MCQs are depend on only this 7 remarks. So we try to complete all these remarks. If two regression coefficient means Vxy and Vyx. Okay. So these two values are given. One is 0.16, second is 4. What is the coefficient of correlation? What is our formula? Under root of Vxy into Vyx. This is the answer of first question. See here both these values are positive, therefore your answer is positive. But in second case, again we have given the regression coefficients. So Vxy is minus 8 by 15, Vyx is minus 5 by 6. Okay. You can calculate R from these two values. Okay. So when you take this product, it becomes positive, but in this answer you have to multiply it by minus sign. This is very important. Okay. So when your both values are negative, so while calculating the coefficient of correlation, consider a minus sign there. So it gives me 8 by 15 multiplied by 5 by 6, because minus minus becomes plus. But in this answer you have to give the minus sign. This is your final answer. Okay. So this is the sign convention. If both values are positive, then only consider the positive value, otherwise you have to consider the negative value. एक जो थर्ड केस है वो नहीं आने वाली. If one is positive, one is negative, that part is not there, because in that case you will get the square root of negative number, which is not defined in real. That's why that case is not there. Either you will get both values to be positive, or either you will get both values to be negative. है ना, वो केस नहीं आने वाले जहाँ पे एक वैल्यू पॉजिटिव और एक वैल्यू नेगेटिव. Next is, okay, I will skip this simple examples. Line of regression y on x. So this line is y on x, and line of regression x on y. So this line is x on y, and we have to calculate mean values of x and y. Yes, anyone?
Point of intersection.
Just solve these two equations, simultaneous equation directly on a calculator. As we know that our point, है ना, x bar y bar. This is the arithmetic. This is the mean values of x and y. But from the remark, from that previous slide in remark 7, this x bar y bar actually satisfies the lines of regression. So you can directly write down these given lines as 8x bar minus 10y bar is equal to minus 66, and 40x bar minus 18y bar is equal to 212. Now just solve these two equations directly on calculator. You will get the values of x bar and y bar. So remember how we calculate x mean values of x and y in regression. Just use this remark: x bar y bar satisfies the lines of regression. Just solve that linear system. Same logic is there, I think, in next example. If two lines of regression, so always remember there is only one line which is y on x, and there is only one line which is x on y. Okay, I did this part in next few examples. Okay, so if two lines of regression, 9x plus y minus lambda equal to 0, 4x plus y equal to mu, and the mean values are given. Mean values are 2 and minus 3. So here x bar is given, y bar is given. From these two equations, which are the lines of regression, we have to calculate lambda and mu. Yes? How we do this?
Substitute the value of x and
As we
y.
know that x bar y bar satisfies these lines of regression. So this can be written as 9x bar plus y bar minus lambda is equal to 0, and 4x bar plus y bar is equal to mu. Now just put the values of x bar y bar, you will get the values of lambda and okay. Next, again, lines of regression y on x is given, lines of regression x on y is given, and here we have to calculate r. Okay. So how we do this? Let me write it proper. Y on x is given. Y on x is given, which is 8x minus 10y plus 66 is equal to 0. X on y is also given. X on y is 40x minus 18y minus 214 is equal to 0. And what is the formula of r? What is the formula of r in case of regression? What is this formula? It is equal to bxy into byx. Okay. What is this bxy? Can anyone tell me what is this bxy?
Slope.
Slope. In which line? Y on x or x on y?
X on y.
X on y. X to y. Okay, x to y or y to x. So how you calculate that slope? So to calculate this bxy, this is the line x on y. This is the line x on y means we have to write x is equal to what? X on y is simply x is equal to f of y. Remember this form. Y on x. Y on x is simply y is equal to f of x, and x on y is simply x is equal to f of y. So just try to write this given equation in this two form. Y on x means y is equal to f of x. So y equal to f of x के form में लिखो. So that gives me y is equal to 8 by 10 x plus 66 by 10. Similarly, from this second equation, as this is x on y, write down x is equal to this. Write down x is equal to f of y in this form. So that become I think 18 by 40 times y minus plus 214 upon 4. Is this correct? समझ में आ रहा है सबको? How I write I
Yes, sir.
consider y equal to f of x for this first equation and x equal to f of y for this second equation. See, you can't change role of these two equation. Means if it is y on x, you have to write y equal to f of x. If it is x on y, then you have to write x is equal to f of y. We can't change this sequence. Means मतलब किसी का ये हो सकता है कि from this first equation we can also write x is equal to f of y. But as this line is y on x, you can't change role of that line. You have to consider this line as y on x only. There is only one line which is y on x and there is only one line which is x on y. एक ही लाइन आपकी y on x और x on y दोनों के लिए यूज होगी ही नहीं. Every line is either y on x or x on y. So for that this part is very important. Whether it is y on x or x on y. Now just check the slope. So this is the slope. And it is y equal to f of x, therefore this slope is called as byx. And in this case this is the slope and it is x equal to f of y, therefore this slope is called as bxy. And now just do their product. And both slope are positive, therefore the value of r is also positive. One more example is there, I will explain from that example. Yeah, I think one more example is there. Again the regression lines are given. Okay. In previous example, it is already given. Okay, it is already given which line is my y on x and which line is my x on y, and accordingly now I have considered the y on x line in the form of y equal to f of x and x on y line in the form of x equal to f of y. So we have this information. Okay. But in the second example or in this next example, we don't know. In the second example, we don't know which line is y on x and which line is x on y. So this is the problem with this question number. Sorry. In this example, we don't know which line is y on x and which line is x on y. So how you determine this? Okay. I think I will explain this 2-3 more examples. क्योंकि ये क्वेश्चन नहीं समझ में आएंगे इतनी जल्दी. In this previous example, okay, that first line is y on x. So I have to just express this first line as y equal to f of x. You will get that slope byx. Second line is x on y. Just express x equal to f of y. You will get that slope bxy. But what is the problem with this next example? Here we don't know which line is y on x and which line is x on y. So how we actually get these two lines? कैसे करोगे आप इस केस में? How we actually identify which line is y on x and which line is x on y? Because for y on x, you have to write that in the form of y equal to f of x, and for the line x equal to for the line x on y, you have to write in the form of x is equal to f of y. Then only you will get the value of byx and bxy. Yes. How you identify which line is y on x and which line is x on y? Anyone? So there is no trivial trick for this. Okay. So in this case, as we don't know this first line is y on x or x on y, so we have to consider both the cases of this first line. Okay. So let me write one by one. 9x plus y is equal to 15. Right now I don't know whether this is y on x or x on y. So if I consider this line as x on y, if I consider this line as x on y, then it become yes, x is equal to f of y. So then it become x is equal to minus 1 by 9 times y plus 15 by 9. Correct? And if I consider the same line as y on x, then it become y is equal to minus 9x plus 15. Is this clear? Because I don't know whether this I don't know this first line is x on y or y on x. So here I have to consider both the cases. Then I will delete one of the case from this. क्योंकि मुझे ये तो पता है कि इन दोनों में से एक मतलब दिस फर्स्ट लाइन इज आइदर x on y और y on x, दोनों में से एक केस वैसे भी डिलीट होने वाली है. कैसे वो आपको मैं एक्सप्लेन कर रहा हूँ. And in a similar way, consider all the cases of this second equation. 4x plus y is equal to 5. So again for this second equation also we don't know which line is x on y and y on x. So consider both the cases. So x on y become x is equal to minus y by 5. Okay. Sorry, y by 4. me correct it proper. So x is equal to minus 1 by 4y plus 5 by 4, and if I consider as y on x, then it become y is equal to minus 4x plus 5. Okay, so as in this example, I don't know which line is x on y and y on x, so I have to consider both the cases. Now see the assumption. Okay, so case 1, if I fix this first line as x on y, okay, then I have to consider the second line as yes. अगर मैं पहले लाइन को x on y फिक्स करता हूँ तो सेकंड लाइन कंपलसरी क्या होगी? y on x. So this automatically become my second case, and for this case you will get यहाँ से bxy मिल जाएगा. So bxy is equal to minus 1 by 9, and यहाँ से byx मिल जाएगा. byx is equal to minus 4. This is one case. Okay, as we already know that there is only one line. So one line must be x on y. So automatically second line become the y on x. Okay, so this is the one case. There is one more case. If I fix this line as my y on x, okay, this line as my y on x, so this become x on y. These are the only two possibilities, okay, for this x on y and y on x. So for the second case, from first line I will get byx, which is minus 9, and from second line I will get bxy, which is I think minus 1 by 4. Okay, but from these two cases, okay, एक केस आपकी कैसे भी यहाँ पे फेल होने वाली है, because every line, okay, so this line is either x on y or y on x. दोनों केसेस में तो ये ट्रू होगा ही नहीं, तो इसमें से एक केस आपकी डिलीट हो जाएगी. So how you actually remove that case? So for that we need to calculate r in both case. To remove one of the case, we need to calculate r in both case. So just calculate r in first case, under root of product of these two number. So under root of 1 by 9 into 4. Can anyone tell me what is that value? 1 by 9 into 4, and then take its under root. So I think this value is 0.6667. Okay, so for this case 1 my r is this, and for case 2 if I calculate r, okay, how I calculate r का formula आपको पता ही है, bxy and byx. Now for second case, 9 multiplied by 1 by 4. So and if I take its under root, so I think that gives me 1.5. Okay. So which case is wrong?
Second case.
Second. Because in second case you will get the value of r greater than 1, and as I already told you, the value of r is always lies between minus 1 and 1. Okay. So this second case is totally wrong. Means byx, okay, so this is not possible, correct, and bxy, second equation, this is also not possible. Okay, so from this what we can conclude,
sir, but you told na ki if both values are minus, then you have to
yes, so that sign is there, that sign is there. I think this part is not there in MCQs, but here you have to consider minus sign only. So your actual answer is minus 0.6667, as these both values are negative. So this part is not there in MCQ, so that I need to correct. So here this first equation is actually x on y, and this second equation is actually y on x. So this is the only way to identify which line is x on y and which line is y on x. Okay. So in other case we will definitely get some error. That value may lie outside the range of your r. Okay. This is the only trick to identify the correct equation of x on y and y on x. And this is one of the important part. The remaining questions are not that much difficult. Lines of regression, y on x is given. If it is given, then it become easy. So y on x means consider y equal to f of x form. Then you will get byx. Here also x on y is given. Consider x equal to f of y form. You will get bx. And question is what? The value of variance of x is 9. Means standard deviation of x, which is equal to variance of x, which is equal to under root of 9, which is equal to 3. Okay, and here we have to calculate the standard deviation of y, means sigma y. How you do this? So from first equation y on x you can calculate b by x, From second equation you can calculate bxy. So what we have given? We have given byx, bxy, sigma x, and from this I need to calculate sigma y. Yes? Yes? Okay. What is the actual definition of byx? दोनों में से किसी की भी आप बोलो. Any regression coefficient we can go. What is the actual definition of byx? It is r into
Sigma y by sigma x.
Sigma x. Okay. And what is r? Using regression coefficient, it is bxy into byx. So you can calculate r from this. We have given byx, we have given sigma x, you will get sigma y. Okay. So just remember this formula. So this is the example on regression coefficient. So using regression coefficient only you will get the standard values of standard deviation. Okay. So there are similar questions are there if you check the Nirali book, but this is the formula. Line of regression y on x is given, line of regression x on y is given, the value of variance is given, calculate क्या करना है, then the standard deviation of y. Similar problem is there. Okay, use either byx formula of byx or bxy. दोनों में से किसी भी फॉर्मूला से आपको आंसर मिल जाएगा. So since variance of x is given, that means sigma x is equal to 5. Next question is the correlation coefficient between two variables. So r is given, sigma x is given, sigma y is given, x bar is given, y bar is given. Then the lines of regression are. So remember the formula for lines of regression are x minus x bar is equal to is equal to b xy, y minus y bar. This is the one line, x on y, and y minus y bar is equal to byx, x minus x bar. So I think everything is given, x bar is given, y bar is given. Just we need to calculate bxy and byx. So to calculate this, bxy is equal to r into sigma x into sigma y, and byx is equal to r into sigma y upon sigma x. And now you can just check all these given values, and from that you will get this regression lines. Okay. The same question is there. Lines of regression we need to calculate. Okay, we have given r. So from r you can calculate bxy and byx. Okay, also we have given standard deviation, we have given mean values. You can easily write the formula for lines of regression. Next here, same question is there, only language is different. We have given mean of x bar and standard deviation of x. Also we have given mean of y bar, standard deviation of y is given. So same information is there, whatever is there in question number 35. And from that we have to write the, and also coefficient of correlation, r is given. Just write down the equation of lines of regression. Okay. Here byx is given, bxy, byx is given, standard deviation is given of y, then the value of correlation coefficient. How you do this? These three values are given. Sigma y is given, bxy is given, byx is given. We have to calculate r. कैसे होगा? Yes. How you do this? How you do this? Use any formula of regression coefficient. Bxy is equal to r into sigma x into sigma y, and just put all the remaining values. You will get the value of r. As bxy is given, sigma. Standard deviation of y is given. Okay. How you do this? क्या calculate करना है? Sorry. Okay, standard deviation of x calculate करना है. Correct. Sigma x ही calculate करना है. So r you can calculate. You can calculate r from the regression coefficient bxy into byx. So now we have given r, we have given bxy, we have given sigma y, and from that you can calculate sigma x. So just try to remember the formula for regression coefficients. Next is x bar is given, y bar is given. Regression coefficient y on x means byx, and by using the lines of regression y on x means what? Y minus y bar is equal to byx into x minus x bar. Using this equation, the most probable value of y की value calculate करनी है when x is 60. So इस equation में बस करना है क्या है? x is equal to 60 put करना है, x bar y bar की value put करनी है, and byx की value put करनी है. You will get the value of corresponding y. And I think same question is there in question number 42. Okay. exactly opposite. This here you have to calculate y, here you have to calculate x using the regression x on y. So same formula consider karo, x minus x bar equal to bxy, y minus y bar. Consider all the remaining values, you will get the value of x. But always remember, from this equation you can calculate only y if x is given, and from this equation you can calculate only x if y is given. Okay, you can't change role of these two regression lines. This line is only to calculate y, and this line is only to calculate x. Okay. So I think